Me too, for an old man.
I don't know by that karaoke video I saw. Oh, that was.
Oh yeah, the young ones still check me out. My wife doesn't like it.
That's okay. That's what makes
I
it
don't,
even sweeter.
I don't care. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Dale Pinkert. Welcome to TradeGate Hub and our Thursday interview. We have the good fortune of being able to, and I have the ability to talk to Michael Venezia today. Normally, Michael is so busy at the opening. I've been watching Michael for well over a year, watching his discipline and his teaching skills and his really outstanding ability to curate and process a lot of information before he goes ahead and makes trading decisions. So that's where you could find Michael. He's showing you some of his stuff here. Michael, welcome. And thank you for taking time, especially at the opening where I know it's really kind of a not the best time for you to do an interview. I appreciate you making time for this today.
Of course, Dale, and good morning. But you know what? I'm not. I started. Maybe I'm running before I'm walking, but I started as a day trader some 20 quarter century ago, 20 some odd years. But fortunately, I'm in the position now where the cliche would hold true, and I'm sure you've heard it, that if you want your positions to work, don't watch them. So I'm not watching them.
Yeah, I have to walk away, and if I'm watching them, I don't know if you do it, but being a shorter term scalper, I'll go to a higher time frame. So, Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry? I know you're always into risk, even before you were into the business. So, why don't you tell us how you got started?
No, Dale, that's well put. That's a great lead in. The thing is that I'm a New Yorker, if you haven't known yet, by the dialect. But my father was a professional athlete. He was a jockey, actually. So with that being said, is now I'm going back. Listen, I'm approaching. I'm 49 years old, so I apologize if I give references to being old. It's not my intention. My intention is to tell you the evolution of how even I evolved as a trader and are ever changing. So with that being said, is going back into the 1980s and 1990s, I wasn't brought around the racetrack. I was interested in the racetrack naturally because it was my father's profession, just like any young man would be interested in their father's profession. My father was at a very high level, so it made it even more interesting. With that being said, is it really came down to knowing what not to do and knowing what to do early on. Fortunately, I was educated and was around people that pointed out lessons of what to do and what not to do, not to be redundant. And that is, when you're around the racetrack, obviously people gamble. And this is before any type of legal gambling. So going back then, it was either if you chose to gamble, it was either you played the lottery, you went to a handful of racetracks around the country, or you went to a major venue, i.e., either Las
Atlantic
Vegas or
City.
Atlantic City.
Yeah.
So what I learned to do early on, and it was very simple, was my grandfather or whoever I was with right then would point me to the window, the Social Security window, where people would be cashing their checks, literally, on some sort of Friday afternoon, and just like I guess the Saturday Night Fever cliche is, they'd be broke by Monday morning. So I was always interested in, looking up at the tote board and the odds changing and fast outcome. And you know what? I guess I'll just nail it. I'll just, simplify, put it like this. I get it. I used to get it early on. So a lot of that was resonated upon. I knew about risk. I knew about luck. I knew about momentum. I knew about not throwing good money after bad. I knew about patience. I knew about, a lot of things. And it doesn't I don't want to, discourage anybody. These aren't necessarily the keys that this is innate with me, or how it happened. I could tell another story where one of the most successful traders out there, couldn't, I'll exaggerate, couldn't divide. So it's not that.
Yeah.
So I don't want to discourage anybody from it having to be early on. This happened to help me, and then I started to run with the ball after that. So that's where it started early on. I was never really a major gambler, if you will. Naturally, in college, I tried to play a couple, to better my life, if you will, to a degree, betting a Super Bowl here and there. But uh, those principles were evident and shown to me early on, and it helped. It helped my learning curve. It helped my learning curve.
Okay, so you must have felt like you were in nirvana when you found the financial markets.
Well, this is what happened.
Yeah,
I'll go to my LinkedIn page very quickly. If you could see it here, I don't know if I'm sharing the screen correctly. I
you are.
apologize. But the bottom line is, I started as a financial advisor at Prudential Securities, and being a financial advisor at Prudential Securities meant that you had to go through all these benchmark programs. For example, obviously passing the Series 7, cold
Yes.
calling, opening accounts. But luckily, and thankfully, and I'd love to jump ahead again, and if I'm doing that, I apologize. My mentor, who took me under his wing at Prudential Securities in New York City, he was a churner. He wasn't there, pumping the phones out, trying to get accounts. This guy was trading, 10,000 Micron and 10,000 Dell and trying to make a half, for his clients. And that was the end of it for me, because the manager at that time of the office says, I spent all my time literally looking at the screen in quotes, as opposed to building a client base. So it was evident early on that, I was pointed in the trading direction instead of asset management.
Well,
Or
I mean, how much fun is it to say, well, I'm going to prospect people whose last name starts with B today out of the Coles directory?
I'm going to tell you, Dale, if we had time, if we had time, I could cold call 5 people right now. I guarantee at least 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, maybe I pitch them and close them.
I saw you in Boiler Room. I saw the
Oh,
movie.
no,
All right. Anyway, Mike. So it's interesting that you gravitated towards trading, and then you saw this guy scalping, and he was probably doing a lot of juice. There are a lot of guys out there with Series 7s that their goal is to convert customer equity into commissions.
that's
And
correct.
I
Right.
think that's what you meant by churning, where they'll do, 10%. Say someone has $100,000 account and they're doing 20K a month in commissions. I would consider that churning. And then if you kept the guy at 110, he was still okay while you were generating a great living. So, I understand that part of the business. But you also have to look at yourself in the mirror, and the cleanest way to do it is by having your own account and beginning to trade and deal with losses, know how to manage risk, know when to go to the door when you're right. And I believe that happened at Schoenfeld for you.
Well, you know what? A couple of things, and listen, I said a couple of things that were key that I learned early on. You could argue it's arguable, but luck plays. I don't know if it's the top 1 or 2 or top 3 keys to success, but luck is very important.
I'm not
And
against luck.
well, yeah,
You know,
right. Even so, with how I wound up with TradeView, I wound up getting lucky and surrounding myself with good
yeah.
people, and just being people just as passionate. So the bottom line is, when I was sitting in New York City, and the manager says to me, you're trading clients' accounts. So I tried to do, and I did the same thing. I was trading as a financial advisor in training. I was trading people's, money. So I was liable. I was putting the firm at risk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So bottom line is, he hooked me up, and he says, I give you the name of this firm. The firm was named Schoenfeld Securities, where I wound up meeting Tim Fury, the CEO and president of TradeView. And the only seat that was open was a seat in Boca Raton, Florida. And I'm going back literally in 1996. I said, no problem. At that point, I was 22. And I moved down to Schoenfeld Securities, to Boca Raton, Florida. And I'll just jump to it. I started like everybody else. I think I was trader number 88. Michael Irvin's number, the Dallas Cowboys, my favorite play. I digress. And I started trading everybody like else, 100 shares on a constricted list, consisting of the thickest stocks back then, mainly back then, Philip Morris, Dell Computer, Bristol Myers, Procter and Gamble, Exxon Mobil. And you know what? I will say this, and this is not pat my knees on the back hour, but I did start at the bottom, and I just started 100 shares, 200 shares, 500 shares. The line went up to 1 million to 2 million. At one point after 16 years, I literally could do whatever I wanted. Unfortunately, the business model at the point changed where people were predominantly day trading still. And, I wanted to expand my horizons. So naturally I left there in great fashion, still speak to many of my peers on an active basis. Some are even going to be in this room, TradeGate Hub. So, yeah, I started off like that and just ran with the ball. And it was an exciting time. And I started to be a desk leader. Then I was a trainer, and I started to be just as good of a teacher as I was a trader. I know it's the kiss of death, if you will, but I'm still doing both at a high level and very well. So,
Hey,
it's just it. Go ahead.
I love teaching, Mike. What good is anything until it's shared with another?
No, I agree, but I
So,
also remember where I came from. I was lucky with the place that I got to.
right.
It was a top-notch firm. It still is. Steven Schoenfeld is considered the godfather of day trading. Google it yourself. I mean, he ran with the ball too. He's worth somewhat 10 billion, so he wasn't a fluke. And by the way, neither were his principals. And I was lucky to learn that way and learn what to do and what not to do and be rewarded by it, not only in financially, but also being privileged enough to have an easel where people took their time and got up early and got up to the office early because they heard what came out of my mouth, and it might not always be right, but it was contrite and it had a lot of basis to it, and I had numbers to back it up. So that's where I
Yeah,
stood.
that's it. The P&L speaks 1,000 words, like they
Yeah.
say a picture does. So does a P&L. So I remember the first time I started coming into TradeGate Hub, and I started to watch your process, and this is where you start every day with that shot of Michael Douglas. I believe he was on the beach at the Hamptons, like you were a week or so ago,
Yes.
and this was a wake up call to Bud Fox, where he said, "I just made 800K in Hong Kong gold. This is your wake up call." So why do you start with this?
Well, fortunately, Tim Fury could do the same thing at this point, and he
Oh,
has.
oh, Tim Fury's your Gordon Gecko.
Well, you know what? I have no problem saying it. Yeah, he is. It's good
Okay.
with it though.
All
But I
right.
get, but it's good like that. So with that being said, yeah, I start off like that because it's all about a routine. And like I
Yes.
say in the videos that I do, that you can go up on the top right, and it's my plan. And after doing this for 25 years, I've developed my own plan. So I don't like I say in the videos, LeBron James, all these NBA pros, they go through the layup drills. They don't just step on the court and start hitting, start trying three-court shots. And I know for a fact that Tiger Woods hits about a garbage can full of pitching wedges before he starts hitting the ball 350. So when it comes time to game time, when 9:30 comes, or whenever you'd like to start trading, if you will, I don't have to worry about my form. I'm ready to fire because these fundamentals go through it every day, and it's not the best. It might not be your process, but it's a process that it works for me, and I didn't make it up my own. I take it from a compilation of very, very, very successful people at a Gordon Gecko level, and I compilate and make my own plan, and I tailor it, if you will. And I'm not splitting the atom here. These are for everybody to see.
Yeah.
So that's where I sit. And I started with Gordon Gecko. That's what I do. And
Yeah.
that
I
inspired me.
love I love the way, and you have the ability to curate information and process it much faster than I can. And so we're going to go to your next slide that you put up every morning, and that's what, Sector Watch
No, what I do
for
is I
Gordon.
think it's important to go over to get to be refreshed and not be suffocated by all the information that might have happened yesterday. And if you do it on a daily basis, it should be innate, or at least it should be readily available in the back of your mind. If you're halfway paying attention and have somewhat of passion. But to answer your question, I start off with Michael Santoli, and
Okay.
he's the person who gives you a basic rundown of what the market does every day.
Okay.
And he does the same thing here. A couple of videos, I say, And that basically Dow is lower for the second straight day. And by the way, I'm not alone. A lot, if you see a lot of my followers here, a lot of people that I follow him as well. And, he was the senior correspondent for Barron's. Like I said, I'm not giving you a name that you're not familiar with, but
Right.
that's how it's almost like me. That's mentally stretching for me, is watching those two videos.
Okay.
And then I say
He's
to watch it.
excellent. I
I'm
see him
sorry.
on CNBC all the time.
Yeah.
I was glad when he got the gig to get his insight before and after the close.
And
Okay.
he is
So,
able, and by
and
404,
he's Italian.
well,
Do you have a
I
huh?
started apologizing for that early on, but I didn't. I stopped doing that.
Okay. All
I was
right. So,
unbiased. I am unbiased, considering that we are an international firm. Believe
yeah.
me.
So you guys break bread together, have cannoli after a winning trade.
Right,
So,
but
after Santoli, where are you going?
after Santoli, then I punch up every day this, and I get it from one of my private Twitter feeds, which I'll show you afterwards. This is the basic overall tactical sentiment. In the green being the market is overbought, oversold, and in the red being it's overbought. So with that being said, is I use this as a general gauge or a tool of market sentiment. This being in the middle is basically says to me what we're stock picking. A couple of weeks ago, we were, definitely in the hole. And you know what? It's from a site that I trust. And I'll even tell you it's the site that I trust. And it's this site right here that I sign up for. This guy right here.
Okay.
And
Yes.
yeah. So with
See,
that being
so
said,
you've curated people from all over FinTwit, Twitter, CNBC, wherever, people that you follow. I call it intelligence gathering, and that's why I interview guys like you.
well,
So
like I said,
go
this
ahead.
gentleman is, he's arguably one of the best. He's followed by many people that have 7, 8 figure accounts. I follow him for years. He's part of my plan. I don't know if he's necessarily part of everybody's plan, but it's part of what I do.
Okay.
Going ahead, I posted from here. Then, like I post the put call ratio, that's important to me, as you know, Coach. You're interested in that on a qualitative level. I punch up the option spreads on what hot options trades are going off. I punch up some news. I punch up gapping up and gapping down, the economic calendar. I even, a couple of things that are going on. Zoom upgraded. Obviously, Hood is going public today. And that's just the headline. Obviously,
Yeah.
as the day progresses, I'll get more into that, even if I'm going to trade it, or how I would trade other stocks around, how the Hood public IPO would come out. By the way, I think it's a coin fade, if you will. I punch up some things that Jim Cramer says. Yeah, I'm going to listen to the fact that he said the best call last night was Ford. And I'm also going to listen now that maybe most of the companies that he deals with in the Delta strain is going to shut down. It doesn't mean that I'm going to follow what he's going to say, but he's right now is the voice of Joe Sixpack. And what I'm being said is, like your friend Helene says, price action trumps sentiment. So I'm trying to get a compilation about how Joe Sixpack is going, about how the smart money right
Booyah.
here in options flowing. Then I get, then I look at what is hot, what's been hot, the upgrades and downgrades from Walter Bloomberg. He's no surprise to anybody. I post what was hot yesterday and today. Obviously, if you can see here, this is the stocks that had the highest range and volume. These were the largest losers with range. In the middle here is the largest range. So here, right here is all stock, and then I'm pointing down to point all stocks with the large range. To no surprise, AMD was up $8 yesterday on 300% volume, finishing near the high.
Yeah.
I don't have to, it doesn't take a genius to know that AMD was in play. Conversely, Cake was in play because of earnings. So I post these as a fresh reminder. And, these are my tailored queries, but I try to simplify it as much as possible. And I think I'm successful at that. So I'll even go further, and I post something in Elon Musk. Yes, Tesla Day is August 19th. Write it down. Here are pre-market movers. LC had huge numbers with large range. It's already up on 1 million shares with a gap up of 36% on 50% volume. I'm interested in it. I'm interested in DIDI that also traded 21 million. It was up 20% on 20 million shares, traded 40% volume by 8 a.m. I'm interested.
So when you say interested, does that mean that you'll be looking to finesse some type of entry on the things that you're interested in?
Well, yes, I am. Naturally, the stock has range, volume, and fundamental news. It's up to me as an active manager to know if I'm going to swing trade it, use that as a gauge for my other positions to see how they're doing, or if I'm going to, wind up taking a position for my Gordon Gecko, if you will.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here is also I use this. This is live trade ideas, real time. These are my top lists. These are my sector watches. I don't want to give it all away. These are my alerts with stocks with high volume, bullish strategies, turbo breaks. Like I said, then I go back to uh, I use another chat room with a couple of my peers for Schoenfeld. They're in, but they're also in my room. So I go back and then I start posting on TradeGate Hub and just compilate all the information and relay what I think is relevant upon my style and everybody else's. That's all.
Okay. So that's an awful lot of information. How long would you say, if someone was interested in following your method and getting market tells and messages and ideas from your curated ritual that you go through every morning, before they would get the hang of it and be able to do this on their own, using or working with you and understanding what you're looking for in all these different applications that you're using? Would you say it's probably like a 6 month to 1 year process for people to get the hang of your style and what you use to compel you to take risk?
Coach Dale, it depends on this.
Yeah.
And
So you're a hard worker, and I've noticed that some of the best traders I know, they don't expect money to just drop into their account, and they're working way after market hours.
you know why I, you know
They
why
spend a lot of time on research,
I,
and lazy people will probably look to go to some type of signal service and not want to do the work. But you have to do the work to become good at what you do. Practice makes perfect, and it takes time. And when you think about time, you can't learn experience. It only happens with the passing of time. So,
well,
would
yeah.
you agree that the best traders are also some of the hardest workers?
Well, a couple of I have a thousand thoughts running through my mind, predicated upon even when you started talking. But this is the way I look at it. First of all, if it's easy, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah,
Secondly, uh, I got into every, the trading life, as you will, is everybody, it could be on the Sir Larry boat punching a couple of quotes.
right.
But I definitely do put in more hours than most. And it's because it's amazing. I could do literally, I have a team under me. I have a 20-year back record that Tim knows about, that he doesn't. I mean, one of the greatest compliments I've ever gotten, where we would say something, and I have a nice deal of money to deal with, is that he's the least of my concerns to look at the account. And I take that responsibility very, very greatly, as I would anybody else. Don't get me wrong, but uh, it's amazing how I'm working harder than I ever did. I feel
Right.
like I'm competing with Jim Cramer, who's tweeting at 3:50 in the a.m. in the morning, and this guy's worth 7, 8, 9 figures, whatever it may be. So, without you asked me, the first question you asked me was how long. And first of all, I wouldn't put a time frame, because that would be wrong for me to say, because it all depends on one person. You know what? You could watch Tiger Woods swing on a videotape, or videotape, Jesus, on video, literally till your eyes bled. A week straight, you could watch his videos. You still can't replicate that physical swing, because it's not you. The
Yeah,
same applies to
until you
trading.
start swinging.
The thing is, though, when I worked under wanted to work under somebody at Schoenfeld, and I wound up working next to him. Another one of the greatest accomplishments, if I can, is that when he wanted me to follow his style. He was a person that took money out of the market every day, and that's where I stand, quite honestly.
Okay.
And it had to do about focus. It has to do about someone's focused, about trusting the process, knowing if this process is for them. I'm certainly, listen, I'm a doctor. And I'm trying to get traders here to be a doctor, but it doesn't mean that you could still be a pediatrician. You could be a, whatever. You could be a surgeon. You could be a brain surgeon. There are different types of traders, just like there are different type of doctors. But I'm trying to get you on the basic level to be a doctor. Then you could branch out on your own. If you're interested in trading equities and you're interested in taking money out of the market, it's up to you if you want to be a swing trader. It's up to you if you some stocks, some traders here don't even know what the stocks do. They don't have to know. They just trade boom on whatever they trade on a stop on volume and range, and they buy it and they sell it and they move on and don't get emotionally attached or whatever. So whatever attached or fundamentally attached.
All
Then
right,
that's
you
fine.
brought it. That's a great segue. Okay, and attachment and emotionally attached. And I have a saying as as a trading coach that just like real estate is location, 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 trading is psychology, psychology, psychology. And I don't I want to talk about one specific part of psychology, not the money management part or the FOMO or the impulse trading or any of those. What I want to talk about is attachment to your accounts. Now, I've been in the business where I have traded just a number. It was just an account number. I didn't know the person. It was part of a fund. Bank traders know what it's like. They know the bank has zillions of dollars. So if they take a little bit of a hit, it's the bank's money. But take it to another level. Say it's your friends, and actually, after a few experience of trade of taking accounts from my friends, I stopped doing it. And I know some people that have had a hard time. They could trade their own account because they don't have to answer to anybody. They don't feel any, regret because, they were responsible for losing their own money, but losing other people's money, especially if they know the person, is a little bit too much for them. So you tell me, you have the double whammy. You brought up Tim, and he did tell me that you trade for him. He actually says you're even a better trader when you're going through a drawdown. But how do you detach from somebody that is both an employer and a friend for years, and have that not affect you when you're making trading decisions?
Well, two things. The first, the second, the latter is very simple, but the first I'll say about, especially when a drawdown. Why? At least he's not asking me why I got the drawdown to begin with. I appreciate that, knowing it happens, and that's going to lead me into my second question. I don't take family money, and I was in the Hamptons with him this last weekend, and we were talking business and trading, and he was wanting to expand give me more assets under management, if you will. And then he segued into says, Mike V, I know you're picky. And it's not really being picky. It's Tim, or if you will, people in the business are the easiest to trade for. The ultimate compliment, for example, let me use the doctor example. The ultimate compliment is if a doctor is sick. A doctor knows what high level he is at. He's a doctor, is to ask another doctor what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, a trader at a very high level, and believe me, he's at a very high level, asked me to trade his money. That's the ultimate compliment, but also knowing the parameters that's dealing with to get to that level. If I'm trading my mom's money, or I'm trading the family office, as they say, the family office that David Tepper and Einhorn and guys trade.
Yeah.
I understand, my family isn't as liquid, my family is well to do, thank God. I will knock on wood, even though I'm not superstitious, but they're not, they're not in the 10-figure range where they can afford to take those drawdowns. So, and that does sometimes get personal. And I don't want it to get personal because the decisions made upon trading are emotional and they get personal. Quite honestly, I very rarely look at my numbers because after 25 years, I know the process, and my numbers about what time frame I do well, what I'm doing good, what time of the year. It's amazing how specific they are. Still, after all the pluses and minuses, after all the ups and downs, after the VIX is insanity, how after 24 years, all these numbers stay within a couple of points of each other. So I have the luxury, and once again, this is the luxury of doing it and trusting my process and not having to work with the numbers. The bottom line is why I'm still here and doing it is because I do not think my next trade is going to put me or Tim in a next tax bracket. It's a fact that I might miss something that might put me in that different level that might put us there. And that's the bottom line.
Okay, so let me ask you, Michael, where is the best place for people to get in touch with you and learn the process, and say you're posting things in TradeGate Hub for them to ask questions while they're going through the learning process? What would be the best way for people to learn what you do?
Well, you could tune in and get on the TradeGate Hub. I'm not. I'm posting very, I'm in New York. I'm Eastern time. At least I am now. And so I post. Sorry, my screen just popped up. I got distracted. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
The first time I looked at it, but I'm trying to. So what happens? If you're listening to this video, is no denying the fact that I'm passionate about what I do, and it's not going to all of a sudden wane, starting the end of this quarter. So I'm here not to post. I'm not a squawk box. I don't want to talk. I want to share. So when could they reach me? They could. I'm on TradeGate Hub right now. Reach me right here in the main room. While I'm talking here. Good AM, guys. You want to ask me something? I'll tell you. We have a direct. I'm trying to find it up on our chat room on TradeView, where I actually said to the guys the other day, when someone wants to message me, I get an email saying someone wants to friend me, and I think it's a great thing that they did. And you know what? I answer. I answer right away. So,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
once again, I'm not over promising. This is what I do. So, just
Okay.
follow the process. And if my process isn't working, I'll certainly point you in a way that will.
Well, I'd say your process has been working since I've been watching you, and even longer. And let me ask you this: what's the longest term relationship with a trading account that you have?
The
How many
longest
years?
term?
Yeah,
Well, I've been trading Tim's for 9 years.
9 years. Okay.
Uh, I had a discretionary account at Schoenfield Securities that, I guess for 16 years that got into the 7, 8, I trade, I had a 30-40 million dollar line there. You know what?
Okay.
I was there when we had, at Schoenfield Securities, there were quants that had risk management, if you will, that let you know when you were
Right.
close by. As I said before, Tim, or any discretionary money that I trade here, which is I would say it's boutique money, if you will. Tim would say it's picky, but once again, it's within my wheelhouse. I consider myself, a chef of a chef. I could either be a caterer and feed 100 people, feed 200 people, and
Yeah.
maybe give away some quality and have lower returns. But if you're willing to step up a little bit and I get a higher percentage, but you're sure to get a higher quality meal, better attention, and coming out of there happier than you would if you were sitting in a dining hall.
Michael Venezia, the chef of the market that trades different things a la carte, and the main menu is learning his process. So, Michael, really, thank you so much for your time. I know I heard S&P's just made new record highs.
Beautiful. We're all
Great,
along.
really excellent conversation with you, and appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to be with us and share your journey with us here for TradeView and TradeGate Hub, and this will be published on FX Street, I believe, as well. So thank you very much, Michael. Good hunting the rest of the day, and I'm really glad that our paths crossed.
It's
So,
my honor, Coach. Anytime. There's a thing in my screen.
and
Anytime,
once
anytime.
you survive an interview with me, Michael, you become my trading warrior brother. So
Oh no, no. We've said that you used it, said that before, but now I
All right.
officially
Well, you are
now I use
again.
it.
All right. So, thank you very much, Michael, for a great interview. Good luck in the markets, and thank you everyone for your attention. Good hunting the rest of the day, and remember, don't just count your individual stocks or mutual funds or short sales. Count your blessings, and we'll see everyone in TradeGate Hub. Come here and share your ideas with us. We share ours. We post them besides what we do on YouTube. A lot of great ideas right in here at tradegatehub.com. Adios, everyone. Thanks
Have a
again,
good day,
Mike.
everybody. Trade well.